You're hiring agencies, consultants, and freelancers before having a solid product market fit and business base, and end up burning large sums of money on ad spend and recurring agency fees. I'm going to cover how you select the right agency or consultant and what things you should look for before entering an agreement with them, right? These agreements can typically be quite long, so it's important that you make sure that this is actually the right stage in your business that you want to recruit these people in. So if you don't know who I am, my name is Oliver. I run Keylon.dk. We partner with online direct-to-consumer and e-learning brands on a commission basis. So I'm making these videos to help other businesses, other business people learn faster. And also I learn a lot from sharing knowledge. So, it's a win-win. If you want to find me elsewhere, Oliver Råhauge, this is the handle on pretty much all social platforms. Go give it a look. So who is this for? This is for anyone who runs an online business and has considered outsourcing some of their key revenue generating activities, such as advertising, email marketing, influencer marketing, UGC content. You can mention all of these things, right? But this is what a lot of people are getting prospected with, as far as I can tell. You're currently stuck around $30,000 monthly recurring revenue and are being bombarded with cold emails and Instagram DMs from people promising you all kinds of results, but you have a difficult time finding out if you need an agency and what to expect from them, and if they're good and a bunch of other things. But right now we're looking at how can you make sure that you are in the best possible position to recruit one, and then later we look at what makes them good, and which kind should you hire, all of this. So, and if it's even the right match. So you end up doing everything yourself and burning a lot of cash. This is one outcome. Very often what will happen first is you try yourself, then you figure out it's quite difficult, then you hire someone else to do it, then you figure out that it wasn't the right time to hire them, or you recruited the wrong people, or you didn't know the numbers, or blah, blah, blah. And then, you go in a few circles until you get it right, which is great, learn by doing. But I'm hoping that this video can help you maybe be a bit more precise in that, so that you can save time, money, ad spend, all of that. So, should you ever outsource key revenue producing activities at all? Because some people would probably say no. I want to make a bit of a stupid example here. So imagine if you ran a business serving the world's best cookies, but nobody except for your 95-year-old grandpa chef knows how to make these cookies. How well is your business doing 6 years from now? 95-year-old grandpa 6 years from now? That's a high-risk business. In the beginning of any entrepreneurial career, you are a crazy octopus running on too much caffeine and too little sleep, because you want to learn a bit about everything, right? That's how it is to start a business. There is not like one thing you can learn and then you just go do it, right? It's all different building blocks that you have to put on top of each other. And eventually you have made, the foundation so wide that you can begin building up, make money, and then you recruit someone to replace these building blocks with better building blocks, right? And then you can grow even taller. So you need to understand key functions in your business before outsourcing them, right? So this doesn't mean that you need to be an expert. It doesn't mean that you need to be the best. It doesn't mean that you need to, understand all aspects of it. It just means that you need to have considered, what is this thing actually doing in my business? Why is it important? What other metrics are important in relation to this? Because if you hire, the best person in the world to, do your branding, right? They do the branding, the guidelines for it, everything, but you have absolutely no idea how to go out and get that in front of people. Well, then it doesn't matter that you've built an amazing brand, right? Or actually you haven't built a brand, because that is built on attention, but you have built the foundations to generate a brand via these guidelines, but you're never getting them in front of people, so nobody's seeing them. I hope it makes sense. Or you're paying a media buyer to acquire traffic to a site, right? But you haven't considered if this site is even converting at all. Conversion rate is super, super, super low. So you don't know if this will even be profitable, because you haven't even calculated it. And if you did, then you would find out, maybe it's not the right time to hire someone to run ads for me. Maybe it's the right time to get someone to do optimization on my website so it actually converts, because then later when I get traffic, that is actually profitable. So it's just a very high level understanding. You don't need to know how exactly to implement everything. You just need to understand what makes your thing work. How is the mechanism working for you, right? Okay, so before outsourcing, as this will help you not only make the right decision, but also use the data you get from the service provider to improve your business internally. So very often, if you hire someone external to do work for you, they will, because they've done this a gazillion times before, right? Maybe you've had 1, 2, 3 business before, but these people are working with your specific type of business on a daily basis, numerous of them, right? It's quite easy for them, usually it should be, to spot what things are not going right in your business, and then they can help you with it, right? They can provide you with that information, but sometimes you have to be attentive of it. And once they tell you, you need to know what to do with that information in order to actually go ahead and implement it, right? Or at least know what kind of person you need to hire in order to implement it. All right, so if you haven't yet found your flagship product and you're unsure of your basic metrics such as revenue per user, so whenever I get a user to my page, how valuable is it? Like what is the dollar count per user actually on my page on average, right? What is the cost of customer acquisition? What is my lifetime value? And a lot more metrics than this. You need to understand how much can I pay for a customer and when do I expect to make money on this customer? Because you might say, if you're competing on price, which is usually not a very, very good idea, but let's say you were, right? Then maybe your front-end offer or the first time that people buy is only break even for you, and then you're winning on the recurring customers, right? Well, then you need to know how many people buy again, right? In order to find out when you go break even on the first purchase, right? This is just a very simple example, but it's important for you to know. Otherwise, you'll be running, and then once you do your financial, you'll find out, oh man, I had all of this revenue, but zero profit. That sucks, So what do you need to do before hiring? So First of all, most of y'all are probably bombarded with cold messages from specifically advertising agencies, right? Why? Because there are a lot of them. Why? Because it's low entry barrier, right? Most people can go in and take a course on the internet. It doesn't even have to be paid. You can find it on freaking YouTube, and they can learn how to set up a Facebook ad, right? Or a Performance Max ad on Google, or a TikTok ad. It's not the setup of it that's super difficult. It's finding out, how do you write copy? How do you build offers? How does this work with the rest of the page? How do you make landing pages? How do you do all of these things? Because basically you want to understand how all of the different building blocks work together in order for this one tool to be effective, right? So that's not what you're paying for. You're not paying for someone to go in and set something up, right? You're paying for the experience that they come in with, and you're paying for the knowledge that they can bring to you without you having to figure that out for yourself. Imagine you work with an agency that has spent, just to give a very simple example, you work with an agency that spent $10 million over the past year, right? Just over the past year. What you're buying from them is not the ability to set up something for you. That's not what you're buying. You're buying 10 million of experience to inject directly into your business. Okay, you see how this is valuable. Now, if these are typically working with larger companies, if this agency is typically working with larger companies, and you're a very, very small company, or opposite, they're working with super small companies and you're a big organization, then that knowledge might still be used, but it would make more sense to get someone who's used to work at the level of business that you are at right now, because they will know the difficulties that bring for you, right? So again, if you don't know what your numbers are, where you're at, all of this, then it's very difficult to hire the right person to go in and solve your problems for you, right? All right, anyway, so what does that tell you? It tells you that there is a very high likelihood that you can learn to set them up as well. If we talk advertising or if we talk email, like none of this is impossible to learn. You see people like me, I'm 24 years old right now, right? Like it's not rocket science, I'm not super clever, and most of these people aren't either. But they're interested in something and they learn how everything works together, and that's why they're able to help you, right? So, of course, this does not mean that you should do that necessarily. But if you have a super tight budget and you're choosing between spending 3K on an agency or 3K on learning vital core business skills that will return for you over the next 60 years, copywriting, offer building, A/B testing, blah 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 blah, you get the point, right? What I'm just saying again is you don't need to be the best, but understanding it will probably help you a lot, because you can take that understanding and you can pass it on to another business. Because if this is the first one you're making, it's very likely that it's not going to be the last, right? So would you rather hire external people to solve an issue for you completely from scratch twice, or spend the first time learning it and then be able to do it yourself moving on, right? Of course, to build a big business, you cannot be doing everything yourself. But at the beginning, which is the stage that I'm talking to now, it's good to just know who do I need to actually solve these issues, right? So here are some internal hiring questions to ask yourself, why they're internal, right? You ask yourself before you go hire an agency or you go hire a consultant or freelance or whatever it is, right? So, do I already know who my target customer is? Would I myself be able to accurately point out who my target customer is? A lot of business owners, they go out and a lot of them have an idea, but there is also quite a large section who are not really sure, you know? And then when we look into it and actually analyze it, it turns out it's an entirely different audience than what they were thinking, right? So again, you might not know 100% all of the details, but just go and literally look through your order list. Who is buying from you? Who are your customers? You know, if you haven't done that, don't hire anyone else to do it for you, because this is something that you should know. Okay. One thing that you can use to figure out who your customer is here is what's called an empathy map. Now, there are different ways of doing an empathy map. I can link a template in the description or caption or wherever you're getting this. So this is basically, what does your customer see, right? It helps by going in first and saying, how old are they? Is it a certain gender? Blah, very, very high level stuff, right? So aside from this, what do they see? What do they feel? You know, and not just see and feel as in we're looking at the same thing, but being in their shoes specifically in the setting of what you're selling. For instance, let's say that you're selling plus size clothing, right? When you look at a clothing store versus when they look at a clothing store, those two are very different. When you look at a clothing store, probably you're looking at, oh, that's nice, whatever, right? But when this person who is, I'm just making assumptions, hopefully I'm not stepping on anyone's toes here, but let's say that you're a very large person, right? Maybe a bit insecure, blah, 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 blah. Don't have to be, but just an example. You're looking at a clothing store and you feel uncomfortable in going in there because other people are going to look at you looking at clothes, right? And if you're insecure of your size or how you look, it could be in any case, right? But if you're insecure of yourself, then this is something that you think about when you see a clothing store, right? You feel that you're not welcome there. You think to yourself that, this is probably not for me. And maybe you believe that there are no stores specifically to help you with your problems and needs, right? So in this case, you would go in and you would sell on exactly those beliefs and those because all of those are essentially objections, right? This is not for me. That's a belief, right? A limiting beliefs that limits this person from actually going into your store, right? I think, whatever, you get the point. All right, so next thing is know your basic numbers, such as average order value, conversion rate, revenue per user, and margins. How much money are you making every time someone goes in and makes a purchase? Not revenue, how much profit is left once someone places an order on your page on average, right? Do you understand how these metrics directly impact your bottom line, right? Everyone is talking about revenue. But what you need to be concerned with is how much money am I able to pull out from my business every single month. And of course, in my opinion, you shouldn't pull it out. You should actually reinvest it. But how much are you able to do that with, right? Like, is the mechanics of your business actually optimized to generating you money, or to just generating you cash that you can pull out, or just generating revenue, right? So based on this, am I still convinced that higher traffic, this is an agency example, right? You're paying someone to send you in traffic. That could be an influencer. They put up something, you get traffic. It could be a blog post. They put up a blog, you get traffic, right? It could be advertising. They put up ads, you get traffic, right? So based on this, am I convinced that higher traffic, more people visiting my page will benefit me, or should I work on improving other metrics first? And to clarify this, everyone would think, oh, well, yeah, sure. If the entire planet knew about my business, I would make more money. Yes. But at what expense? If you spend 1,000 on sending in people, regardless of the medium that is being used, if you spend $1,000 sending in people and it end up generating, $800 of revenue, then you've lost 200, right? And then you think, why did I lose 200? Oh, it was a bad blog post. It was a bad ad. It was a bad influencer. Or was it because that your page only converted 0.1% of the people coming in? What if it converted 1%? Then you would literally have made 10 times the money. So now instead of spending 1,000 and making 800, you would have spent 1,000 and made 8,000, right? So the biggest lever here to pull was not the medium that you spend at. It was understanding where your problem in the business was, so that you could go recruit someone to improve the conversion rate before you go invest in, influencers, agencies, whatever it might be. And luckily, if you work with a good agency, they will go in and they will screen you before they work with you, and they will say, hey, I know you want advertising from us, but actually this is probably where you're, based on what we've seen, this is probably where your problem is at, and we recommend you fix that first, right? So additionally, do you know what exact numbers you need to hit before the advertising is profitable for you? So this is sort of a extension of this, or before the, influencing is profitable for you, or before the email marketing is profitable for you, or blah, 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 do you know when you should stop it in case it does not work out? And have you talked about this with your agency or service provider, right? Have you talked with them? What are the KPIs with this? Or are you just working with them on a, ongoing retainer basis? Because if you sign up for 6 months with someone, as an example, and you agree to pay them, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 every single month, plus spending on advertising, and you've been going for 3 months and this is not working, that's a huge expense for you, especially knowing that you still have, the other half of the contract left. So a really good idea before you start working with someone is just basically going in and making, the terms of the agreement, which most people will have, but in case that they don't, just make sure that it's in the contract and in the written agreement that you have, that these are the numbers we need to hit. If we don't hit those over this period, we need to, find out what the problem is. Because at some point, if you have been pumping out traffic to a page for months and still nobody is buying, something is wrong, right? Very likely something is wrong. So you need to find out, when do I assess that, right? What am I hoping to achieve with insert service, right? Advertising, email marketing, influencer marketing, blog posts, whatever it might be. And how will I measure it, right? Will I measure it in revenue? That's the outcome, right? Will I measure it in revenue? Will I measure it in how profitable it is? Will I measure it in, cost per click or volume of traffic that we get in, right? What will I measure this in? Will I measure it in leads? Can I afford to hire an advertising agency, email marketing agency, influence agency, content agency? And how much am I willing to spend on advertising overall, right? This is important as well, because if you go in and you hire someone that costs, if you hire someone that costs $2,000 a month, right? And you're willing to spend 1,000, right? You have a budget of 3,000, then that does not make sense. There needs to be a difference between this, because your money should go towards what is generating the revenue for you. and in turn the profit for you. It should be profitable for you, not everything else. In my opinion, people who work with other businesses on improving specifically the bottom line, when it's so direct, we send people in, they make a purchase, you get money, right? When it is that direct, you should be compensated on a part of the wins that that this person has given to the client. So if you work with an agency, you should compensate them based on the results that they bring to you, right? But then you also need to know that in order to get an agency that's willing to do that, either that's the cat, either they're just saying yes to everything, or you need to have a really good business case in order to ensure that this will be profitable for both ends, because it doesn't mean that these people are not spending time on you. Trust me, they are spending a lot of time on you, but it needs to be a win-win case, right? So am I prepared to work closely with an advertising agency to ensure the success of my campaigns? Work closely. What does that mean? Work closely means that you should not just get an update once in a while. You need to get updates, right? But you should speak with them. You should understand, because your job as the business owner, you're still the business owner. You're the big man or the big woman. You're the boss, right? You're still the boss. You're hiring someone else who is supposed to be more expert than you. That's great, but you still hire them, right? The business is your responsibility, nobody else's. Your responsibility is to make sure that these guys have exactly what they need to do the best at their job, right? So if they tell you, we need content, here are 5 different providers you can use. You need to tell them, hey, we're using this provider for content, you'll get it next week. If they say, hey, we have seen that your conversion rate, it's shit, nobody's buying. You need to take that in and go, okay, where do I find someone to improve this? If your margins are extremely low, you need to go talk with your supplier, with your manufacturer, whatever it is, if you're selling physical products, and find out how can we increase those. And none of these are just like, you don't just, swing with the wand and then they're solved. It's big business problems, but they will only get bigger as you get more volume in, because the more you scale your business, usually the lower your margins are going to get, right? So if you cannot make it work at $30,000 a month, how are you going to make it work at $3 million a month? So you need to go in and solve those. So how can an agency help me better understand my target audience? This goes together with working closely, because what they should do, or what we do at least, is every time we work with someone, we go in and we make, I gave you an example here, empathy maps. Who are the decision makers? What do they think about? Who is the customer? What limiting beliefs do they have? What hooks can we use to battle those limiting beliefs? What objections do they have, right? What makes them go, nah, I'm not going to buy this? And how can we battle those? Like all of these different things, because if I give you a full-blown empathy map of your customer with data you have not even considered using before, that will give you a lot more understanding than just looking at the backend of Shopify dashboard, right? Or WooCommerce dashboard. So if your answer is no to any of these above questions, right? Or you don't know how to answer them, then buying a few hours from a consultant or the agency's media buyer, performance marketer, whatever it is, it may be the right way to start, as they will be able to point the direction for you on what you need to figure out before entering an ongoing partnership. So you don't need to know all of the you need to know all of the questions before you hire someone, long term. But if you don't know them right now, figure out, speak with these agencies, say, you know what, I've thought about it. This might be a bit too much of a commitment right now, because I am not sure of these things in my business. So are you able to help me out with that? Can I buy, 1, 2, 3 hours with you so you can help me understand what, how I make the right decision here? I promise you, a lot of people will be happy to do that, because this is what service providers are struggling with too, right? When they go into someone new, and these new people, they don't necessarily understand things in their own business, it can be a good idea to actually align on all of that before, and then find out, is this still the right choice, right? Or should I do something else? So anyway, I hope this was valuable. It was a bit of a long talk rant. I'm trying to put one of these videos out every single week from now on. I will take just any learning that I have in my own business career and write them out and basically share them with you. So hopefully you get some value from it. I would love to hear if people get something out of this. Obviously it's going to improve over time, but let me know if you didn't get value out of it, because then I need to stop doing it. Other than that, just have an amazing day. And if you need to find me anywhere, you can have them there: YouTube, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook, blah blah blah. Use my name, Oliver Wauge. That's it. Website is keylon.dk.io. We have all of them, right? So that's how you find me. And with that said, have an amazing day. Bye bye.